please don't fall on me. Hey friends, it's Alex and welcome back to another video. Today I'm sharing with you 5 adult fantasy books / series that are on my TBR that I'm really excited to get to. So I've been getting really into adult fantasy lately. Over the past maybe year and a half, I think. And I've just been loving it so much, and as a result I've bought a lot of first books in adult fantasy series, but the problem is they're long and they're dense and it takes me a while to get through them, so I'm buying them faster than I'm getting through them. And I don't want to start one series while I already have another one on the go, just to try and keep them straight in my head. So I have a lot on my TBR at this point. It's getting a bit ridiculous. But I thought I would share 5 of those books and series that I'm really excited to read. I mean, I'm excited to read all of them, that's why I bought them, but these are just ones that I'm especially excited to read or like higher up on my priority list. So let's get started. First up I have A Declaration of the Rights of Magicians by H.G. Parry. This sounds very interesting. It sounds like something that I wouldn't normally have picked up. I don't know if you can tell by the shininess, but this is a Goldsborough book. It came in my monthly Goldsborough fantasy subscription. The shininess is because they put like a plastic coating on all their dust jackets. So I may not have picked this up for myself, but now I have it and I am intrigued by it. And a very large reason why I'm excited to read it is because the author, H.G. Parry, lives in Wellington in New Zealand, which is where I was born. You know, that I realise when I say stuff like that it's not a valid reason, and that it doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to like the book, but you know, I have those reasons anyway and I don't care. So I believe this book is set in our world, which is why it's something I might not necessarily have picked up on my own. I tend to prefer fantasy books set in made-up worlds. But I'll read you the synopsis. It is the age of enlightenment, of new and magical political movements, from the hypnotist Robespierre calling for revolution in France, to the weather mage to Saint Louverture leading the slaves of Saint Dominique to freedom, to the bold Prime Minister William Pitt legislating the use of magic in Britain. But amid the upheaval there is an unknown force inciting violent conflict, and it will require the combined efforts of revolutionaries, magicians and abolitionists to unmask this hidden enemy before the whole world falls into darkness and chaos. So yeah, it sounds interesting. I definitely want to give it a go, even though it's not something I necessarily would have picked up, just to see if it is something I will end up enjoying, and I'm very intrigued to get to it. And I believe it's only meant to be a duology, and this came out last year, so hopefully book 2 should be out this year, in which case I will be able to read this very soon, hopefully, and be able to marathon the series, which I enjoy doing. And if I enjoy it, I'm also intrigued to pick up The Unlikely Escape of Uriah Heep, which has books on the cover, so I'm hoping it's like bookish. So that's the first one on my list. Next up I have Senlin Ascends by Josiah Bancroft. I think that's how you pronounce his name. This one was recommended to me by Samantha Shannon, and I absolutely love Priory of the Orange Tree. It's one of the first adult fantasy books I read and kind of what got me into the genre, and I love it so much. It was so good. And I believe I was at a signing for, well, it had Samantha Shannon there and then also Bridget Kemmerer and I think someone else, but I can't remember who. But at that point I didn't need to get any books signed by Samantha Shannon, so I was mainly there to get books signed by Bridget Kemmerer, but obviously to hear them all speak. And we were waiting in the queue, and it was kind of like moving along each of the authors, and Bridget Kemmerer was at the end, so we were waiting and we got up to Samantha Shannon, and so we just had a chat with her and she recommended me some books and this was one of them. and it's one I'm rather intrigued by, and I definitely want to give it a try because of it being recommended by an author that I love. But it definitely sounds very interesting, and I'm really intrigued to give it a go, and I believe the whole series is out. So this one says, mild-mannered headmaster Thomas Senlin prefers his adventures to be safely contained within the pages of a book. So when he loses his new bride shortly after embarking on the honeymoon of their dreams, he is ill-prepared for the trouble that follows. To find her, Senlin must enter the Tower of Babel, a world of geniuses and tyrants, of menace and wonder, of unusual animals and mysterious machines. He must endure betrayal, assassination attempts, and the long guns of a flying fortress. And if he hopes to ever see his wife again, he will have to do more than just survive. This quiet man of letters must become a man of action. I'm very intrigued by this. I believe there's a Matthew Riley book that I really love where the main character is like more of the scholarly type and gets thrust into a load of action, and I really enjoyed that book, so I'm excited to see that in a fantasy book. Matthew Riley writes action adventure more than fantasy. So I'm keen to pick this one up. Once again, the whole series is out, so hopefully I can get to it soon. Next up I have Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Ames? I don't know how to say that. I don't know how to say a lot of things. Okay. I've heard a lot of really good things about this book around BookTube, and it just has me really intrigued, and a lot of people who've read it just seem to think that it's like really fun and like a really fun read, and I'm just really intrigued, and I would very much like to give it a try. I don't really know much about this one, I don't have much to say, I'm just very interested. So this one says, glory never gets old. Clay Cooper and his band were once the best of the best, the most feared and renowned crew of mercenaries this side of the Heartwild? Okay. Their glory days long past, the mercs have grown apart and grown old, fat, drunk, or a combination of the three. Then an ex-bandmate turns up at Clay's door with the plea for help, the kind of mission that only the very brave or the very stupid would sign up for. It's time to get the band back together. So yeah, I just think this sounds like it might be a bit of fun. Like people who are kind of past their prime having to go back into what they got up to as when they were younger. I don't know. Words. It sounds interesting. I'm not good at this. The fourth book on this list is one that I think, well, it's definitely a series, but I don't think the whole series is out yet. The first book was published last year, so it's definitely a newer series. And that is The Library of the Unwritten by A.J. Hackwith. This sounds amazing. From what I understand, it's set in the Library of the Unwritten, which is in hell, and it's where unfinished stories go. And I just think it sounds amazing. I love books about books, and this just sounds like a really interesting version of books about books. And it's interesting to think about books that weren't finished as well, because obviously that happens in real life, like books get finished, books get not finished. So it's interesting to kind of have a story around that where these characters are real and are like unhappy about their story not being finished. But I'll read you the back for a better synopsis. Every book left unfinished by its author is filed away in the unwritten wing, a neutral space in hell presided over by Claire, its head librarian. Along with repairing and organising books, her job consists of keeping an eye on restless stories whose characters risk materialising and escaping the library. When a hero escapes from his book and goes in search of his author, Claire must track and capture him with the help of former muse and current assistant Brevity and nervous demon courier Leto. But what should have been a simple retrieval goes horrifyingly wrong in a chase that threatens to reshape the boundaries between heaven, hell, and earth. This is one I've heard really good things about from other people on BookTube once again, and I'm just so excited to get to it, but I don't know when it's going to happen because I don't know how long the series is going to be or when the next book is coming out or anything, so I need to look into this one more and find out when I can read it, and hopefully soon. And the fifth and final book on this list is The Poppy War, and obviously the whole series. I own the whole series. I own these beautiful Allura Crate. I own these beautiful Allura Crate editions. They are so stunning. I'm very happy I bought them. And it's one I'm really excited to read. I've heard a lot of amazing reviews for this series. So many people say it's amazing. They also say it's really dark, so it's one I'm a bit kind of hesitant on. Like, I am excited to read it, but I am also a little bit like hesitant and unsure because, once again, I'm quite new to adult fantasy, so I've not really read many really dark ones yet. Really dark and really brutal. So I don't know how I'm going to get on with this. I don't know if it's actually going to be my kind of thing, but I'm very interested to read it. It sounds super interesting. It's got amazing reviews. I really cannot wait to dive in. And this one will hopefully happen soon because, like I say, I have the whole series. It's all out and I own it all. So there is no reason why this shouldn't happen soon. So the synopsis of this one says, opium runs through the heart of the Nikara Empire, a constant reminder of the war with the Federation of Mugen that brought it to the Empire's shores. A war that only ended thanks to 3 heroes, the Viperess, the Dragon Emperor, and the Gatekeeper, known as the Trifecta. They were legendary figures, each bestowed with godlike powers, who united the warlords of the Empire against the Federation. Decades have passed, the Trifecta is shattered, the Dragon Emperor is dead, the Gatekeeper is missing, and the Viperess alone sits on the throne to sign guard. Peace reigns, yet the poppy remains. War orphan Fang Runin grew up with it. Her adopted family smuggles it throughout Rooster Province, making a living on the misfortune of those addicted to its smoke. But when Rin's parents force her into an arranged marriage, Rin refuses to accept her fate and fights her way to the prestigious military academy of Signgard. There she will learn of drug-fueled shamanic powers thought to be myth, powers which might defeat the Federation during its 3rd invasion, but the cost of some power is too great to pay, even if it means winning a war that threatens to destroy an entire nation. So yes, I'm very intrigued by this. Like I say, I've heard it's very dark and brutal, so we'll see how I get on, but I've heard great reviews from people on BookTube, great reviews from people just in the book world, in the book community in general, and also great reviews from my own friends. So hopefully I will enjoy it as much as everyone else seems to, and I'm very excited to get to this one. This one is quite possibly the highest priority out of all of these books. I will hopefully be getting to this one this year. You can sort of see it, that's fine. I have nowhere else to put it. So those are 5 adult fantasy books on my TBR that I'm very excited to get to. Like I say, I have a lot more, and I have a lot of first books in series, so it's going to take a while for the amount I have to go down. But this is where I would like to not start, because I have started, but this is where I'd like to go next. This will have to wait until I've finished making my way through, at the very least, the Mistborn trilogy, if not all of Brandon Sanderson's collection. I will decide when I get to the end of the Mistborn trilogy. But that's what I'm currently working on, and so these will be after I've done Brandon Sanderson. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!